Good morning. I'd like to tell you this little story. I think it's a story of our time, and I think it needs to be told, especially now with all of the things that are happening around us. It's called Not Our Problem, and it's a little story out of a collection of peace tales by a woman named Margaret Reed MacDonald. It's a really wonderful collection, and absolutely everybody on the planet should read these stories or hear them or somehow come across them. Not our problem. The king sat with his advisor, eating honey on puffed rice, and as they ate they leaned out the window and watched down the street below. Well, they talked of this and that and the other thing, and the king really wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, and he let a little drop of honey drop down on the windowsill. "Oh, sire, let me wipe that up," offered his advisor. "Never mind," said the king, "never mind. It's not our problem. The servants will clean it up." And so the two continued to dine on their honey and their puffed rice. Well, the drop of honey slowly made its way down the wall, and as it made its way down to the end of the wall, well, a fly suddenly saw the honey and came to it and started to lick on the honey, and immediately there was a little lizard that saw the fly, and the lizard just came creeping out to catch the fly that was licking the honey. And while that was all happening, well, you can guess what happened. There was the palace cat, who saw the lizard who was watching the fly, and the cat leaped out to get a little piece of the action. And while that was all happening, along came the dog, who decided to catch the cat, who was looking for the lizard who was watching the fly who was eating the honey. Sire, said their advisor, "there seems to be a cat and dog fight in the street now. Should we call someone to stop it?" "Never mind," said the king, "it's not our problem." And so the two continued to eat their honey on puffed rice. Meanwhile, the cat's owner had arrived and was beating up the dog. The dog's owner had arrived and was beating up the cat. Well, pretty soon the two of them were beating up each other. Sire, said the advisor, "there are two persons fighting in the street now. Shouldn't we send someone to break this up?" The king lazily looked out the window and said, never mind, it's not our problem." Well, the friends of the cat owner gathered, and they began to cheer him on. Then the friends of the dog owner appeared as well, and they began to cheer her on. And soon both groups of the friends had begun to fight themselves and were attacking each other. "Oh, sire, said the advisor, "a number of people are fighting in the street now. Perhaps we should call someone right now to break this all up." Well, the king was even too busy eating to even look, and you can guess what he said. "Never mind," he said, "it's not our problem." Well, pretty soon with all this fighting, the soldiers arrived on the scene. And at first they did really try to break up all the fighting, but suddenly they started to ask what the fight was all about. And when they heard the cause of the fight, well, some of the soldiers decided to fight on behalf of the cat owners, and some owners decided to fight on behalf of the dog owners. Now, with all this taking sides, well, you can guess what happened. Pretty soon the soldiers had also joined into the fight. With the soldiers involved, the fight erupted into civil war. Houses were burned down, people were harmed, and the palace itself was set afire and burned to the ground. The king and his advisors stood surveying this whole scene. Perhaps, said the king, "I was wrong. Perhaps that very drop of honey, was our problem." That's a very, very, very amazing story, and it gives us much to think about in the ways that things can get out of hand by not paying attention to something simple as a little drop of honey. Happy New Year, and thank you so much for listening.